different, but we're going to be hearing from 3 different organizations about opportunities for collaboration and funding. So essentially, if you have any great ideas or things that you want to leverage out of the people you're meeting here, ways that you can continue that work. And our first speaker is Carolina Santa Cruz Perez, who is a science officer with the Latin American and Caribbean Region International Science Council in Bogota, Colombia. And she holds a PhD in biophysics and 4 postdoctorates in multidisciplinary areas such as microbiology, protein crystallography, biochemistry, molecular, cellular, and structural biology, photochemistry, and bioinformatics. She previously served as scientific advisor to the Research Support Foundation of the state of Sao Paulo and to SENACIT in Panama. She belongs to the Tech for DRR Committee of the Regional Office for the Americas and the Caribbean of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, chair of the Organization for Women of Science for the Developing World, OWDS chapter, and a member of the steering committee of the Latin American and Caribbean chapter of INGSA, and founder of the company Brains. So with that, let's hear from Carolina.
Thank you very much. I think it was very convenient for me to have this previous panel before my talk because of what I'm going to say next. And is that before the creation of the International Science Council, Cedric Villani was already saying that politics needs science more than ever. And I think it is important, considering that the humanity has benefited from all scientific production, but not only from the exact and natural sciences, because no global challenge that we aim to solve as scientists can be solved without the participation of the social sciences. So we were speaking about the integration between exact sciences and social sciences, and that is why the previous panel was also so convenient. And then it came 2018 when the International Council for Science and the International Social Science Council fusionated to become what is today a voice for science that is global and that is unified. And we need a truly global scientific institution that can tackle a more effective global policymaking, as we were discussing previously, in order to tackle challenges in climate change, environmental degradation, artificial intelligence, urbanization, global pandemics, among others. So the vision of the International Science Council is that science needs to be a global public good. And we want the whole scientific community to become one global partner. So under the essentials of the International Science Council, we have our vision as a global, to science as a global public good, and our mission to become a global voice for science. So among our members, and if some of you belong to these organizations, you are part of the ISC as well. We have national and regional scientific organizations. Among those, we have national academies of science and research councils. We also have, as members, international scientific unions and associations across, of course, the natural and social sciences, and international affiliates. So we partner with the World Academy of Science, the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis, the Global Young Academy, which some of you should belong to, the Inter-Academy Partnership, the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, and the Global Research Council. So our governing board belongs from several places in the world. Dr. Sir Peter Gluckman was previous president of INGSA, the International Network for Governmental Scientific Advice. And our secretariat functions in Paris. But we also have regional focal points in 3 regions now. The first regional focal point to appear was in Latin America and the Caribbean. So we have our base in the Colombian Academy of Science. We have a regional focal point in Asia Pacific that is based at the Australian Academy of Science. And we have an agreement with Future Africa to co-design what is going to be our presence in Africa. And our main mission is to convene the scientific community in the regions and act as a hub for ISC members and activities, in my case, in Latin America and the Caribbean. So our regional focal point is formed by 11 members of a liaison committee representing 10 countries in the region. And they are developing a regional action plan that aims to define regional scientific priorities. And on the priorities, the global priorities of the ISC at global level, I'm not sure why some slides are changed, but our priorities are the ISC and a global policy at the United Nations is taking care of our members, establishing our regional presence, calling attention to outstanding members as ISC fellows. We have a committee in freedom and responsibility in science. We have a think tank called the Center for Science Futures. We have created a global commission on science missions for sustainability, and we have an ISC charitable trust. This is the action plan of the ISC that is renewed after every 2 years. And this action plan was focused on 5 main scientific priorities, which has global sustainability, convergent science and technology in digital era, science policy in public discourse, changing practices in science and science systems, and freedom and responsibility in science. And the core of some ongoing activities are around our partnerships with our affiliated members. Among them, we have, of course, the International Network for Governmental Science Advice. We have this international scientific committees, international data bodies, global observance systems, and international research programs. And at the interface of the ISC with the United Nations, we have become the major group of science and technology coordinating all activities related with science and technology with the United Nations. And that means we collaborate with the agencies on economic and social affairs dedicated to education, development, environment, the World Meteorological Organization, and the agency dedicated to disaster risk reduction. The ISC is also engaging in global policy processes, and that means we bring the voice of the scientific community to high political forums, which discuss about the 2030 agenda, the Sending Framework, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, the Paris Agreement, the New Urban Agenda, and the Convention on Biodiversity. And the ISC also has convened the celebration of annual years with some of our international unions, as the International Year of the Periodic Table of Chemical Elements, International Year of Sound, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Basic Science for Development. Now we are setting up global knowledge dialogues around our regions, in which Paris comes to the regions and we raised important issues for each region, and the International Decade of Sustainability. And we may say that the strategy of the ISC, the intergovernmental system, runs around 2 key pillars, 4 key pillars. Those are continue to enhance capacity within the scientific community, connect the national, regional, and global levels of governance, strengthen relationships in the intergovernmental system, and champion science as a global public good. And for that, the ISC plays roles as representing the scientific community in those political forums, advocating for science, offering scientific advice, building capacities, and coordinating scientific inputs. And for that, we run avenues for cooperation with United Nations bodies, with member states, and with the civil society. The IAC has an office in New York, and that office is dedicated to raising the IAC profile at the United Nations, serving as a trusted knowledge broker in advancing the science policy interface. And for that, we have created a group of friends on Science Action. We are participating actively in what is going to be the Summit of the Future, which is a project of United Nations. We are developing meetings, events, and ad hoc requests of the United Nations, relating them with the scientific community and building on the strengths of IAC members. And one of the examples are the policy briefs we build with the IAC membership. So for that, we receive a request from United Nations to participate on project-based expert groups, event-based expert groups. So IAC members receive nominations, no calls for nominations of the speakers, experts, reviewers, participation on statements, in training, and the modalities could be open calls for nomination of experts, participating in a roster of experts that is having a deadline this week for participate on it, participate on the interface with United Nations missions, and we are developing a tool to search members that can be engaged to participate in these United Nations projects. This is the group that functions to run the operations dedicated to the United Nations and IAC interface. And this Global Science Policy Unit has some staff in Paris, a full IAC representative in New York, and regular delegations to Geneva, and seconded experts from members. So this is a QR code for you to know a bit more if you're interested on how the IAC members are participating on this interface, and also if you want to help on increasing the participation or bringing the voice of scientists on the high political forums. We ask for you to kindly circulate the call for expression of interest in the IAC roster for experts, helping us disseminate knowledge, products, and statements for your stakeholders and governments. Let us know about your needs for capacity development, and is mostly in science advice to policy. And you can use me as a contact or write into Olivia. Oops. The IAC has been increasing its interest in engaging the young scientific community in our regions. First, to found new young academies, because at least in Latin America and the Caribbean, they are very few. And we need for that the integration of the young scientific community with the senior academies, and building leadership. So you can start a young academy that makes forum and brings leadership to be part of the IAC and United Nations interface. The IAC has launched an early mid-career researchers forum that is going to be in March, and this forum is intended to an open call for missions towards sustainability. We have a global commission on science missions for sustainability that has produced this report, Flipping the Science Model, a roadmap to science missions for sustainability. And the intention is described in this report. We want to engage the young scientific community to be part of important missions towards what is lacking in the global south, toward global agendas as the 2030 agenda. In 2023, we had recruited 17 new members, Those are new young academies in Europe and Asia, in Oceania, in Africa, in North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and at international level. So if you would like to know more about the initiatives that the ISC has towards early and mid-career researchers, the call for experts, your participation in the general assemblies every year, together with United Nations. We have created also a newsletter in which we distribute opportunities, open calls, activities that are dedicated mainly to early and mid-career researchers. We will be very happy to connect with you all. And if you need more information about what the regional focal point for Latin America and the Caribbean is doing to engage the Latin American scientific community, how can you build capacities and leadership, build capacities and scientific advice, I think the scientific community is being called to play new roles outside the laboratories. And those are, as we were commenting in the previous panel, being more engaged with scientific journalism, scientific diplomacy, scientific advice. So this is an open invitation, and I will be very happy to answer questions related with collaboration with the ISC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. So our next speaker is Rafik Neme, who is a science ambassador with DAD. He is a Colombian evolutionary biologist working at the interface between genomics and biodiversity in tropical dry forests in the Caribbean. His interests range from evolution of innovation in molecular systems, adaptation, origin of life, and literature, as well as the role of our local and regional science plays in advancing some of our most pressing issues, such as hunger and biodiversity loss. He is currently head of the Max Planck Partner Group at Uninorte, as well as scientific ambassador of the DAD for Colombia. And so he'll be speaking about opportunities with DAD.
Hi. Okay, so I'm actually local in the most strict sense. I grew up here and I work here right now. But in between, I went to Bogota to do a bachelor's. Then I went to Germany for a long time in my career. And to the purpose of these DAD ambassadorships is to somehow present what some of the scientists and scholars can do when they get supported by Germany. And so for me, it started when I did my master's in 2011. And then I went on to do PhD funded by the Max Planck Society. And then I did a postdoc with the ERC, with the European Research Council. And then I went to US to work. And there I was funded by NIH and the Pew Latin American Fellowship Program. That one of the things it does is it tries to bring people back to Latin America and establish their own labs, to do whatever we want to do in whatever weird areas we choose to. And so that's why I ended up here in Barranquilla. Of all places, I chose to come back home. And I'm both supported, or I've been supported by the Pew Latin American Fellowship to come back here and by the Max Planck Society. And recently the DAD approached me and asked if I could be an ambassador for them, just to show what Germany can bring to the table when people are looking for funding opportunities. So that's exactly why I'm here today. And in case you haven't heard of that, or the DAD, is the Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst, or the German Academic Exchange Service, which is a non-profit organization financed by the German government. but it's also the world's largest organization funding academic exchange and mobility. It mainly represents German universities, but it has a bunch of partners all over the world. It's pretty huge. It provides funding for more than 130,000 academics per year, and the 2022 budget was over 700 million euro, mostly for mobility, right? So in this case, and I'll show you some of these programs that maybe are relevant for people a bit younger than you, but if you are in the mentoring business or you have students, this is pretty relevant. So here are only for the main countries that the Colombia office is responsible for. And you'll see how much of the financing goes to projects and individuals, right? And Colombia has the most funded projects or scholarships. This is only 2022. And it's mostly for projects, for collaboration, cooperation, visits, and all, but it's also financing individuals, funding individuals. So just to show you, Latin American scholars going to Germany in 1 year is over 2,000, but it also helps German scholars to go all over the world, including Latin America. So, and here is Colombia, but I've seen that you guys come from a bunch of different countries, so it's somewhat relevant if you have German partners, or if you want to go to Germany to do any kind of research. This is very relevant. The requirements are relatively simple in terms of expertise and demands. And so there are two types of programs: individual ones, as I showed you before, and it's mostly used by people who are in the early part of their career, but it's not limited to it, right? So if you are a professor or you are a scholar at a university, you can do part of, you can take part of this too. But the other thing that's interesting is if you're already running a program, or if you're a university where you're not planning to move a lot, but you plan to foster some kind of network, then you should look into the DID's institutional cooperation programs. That, for example, has this program for deans. It does training so that the deans become somewhat agile in different areas, and they exchange information with deans from all over the world, Latin America not excluded, and is generally used. And in this case, for example, in Colombia, it's used a lot. At Uninorte, we use it quite a bit for the internationalization process, right? So if you're trying to make your double university programs, so if you want to have the math program or some engineering program that wants to have two titles from two different countries, binational, DAD supports this. One of the things we're planning, just to tell you what kind of things we can do with this, is we're planning starting a new master's program, and there is a particular call when if none of the universities, or two universities, don't have that program. They started from scratch, and the DAD finances the first year before the program starts and the year after it starts. And it mainly finances or funds mobility, right? If you need to expand the network, you need to bring professors, you need to move students around, it can be done with that. The most popular ones, which I think it's also important to highlight here, are the fully funded PhD programs by the DAD. When I mean fully funded, it doesn't fund the data, right? If you're working in genomics like I do, it can be pretty expensive pretty quickly, but at least it gets you there, and it has you live there fully covered, right? It brings you to Germany. You can do a German course in case you don't have it. It gives you a stipend of 1,200 euros, which is pretty okay if you're at an early stage of your career and you don't have family. It covers your medical insurance, and it gives you an extra allowance of 460 euros a year that people usually use for books. But it also provides you some extra money, knowing that many people will start PhDs later in their life, to support spouse and children. And if you're in Germany, I don't know if any of you has had the opportunity, if you are born in Germany or your kids are born in Germany, you get an extra an extra allowance just from the government. These ones, for example, can be used for people who are doing their PhDs in their countries of where they live. That's not Germany, and it can be used to have an additional advisor. And these funds, for example, your visits, study visits, or if you want to have an advisor or a colleague come to your country, this can be done also with this other program. I only brought a couple of them. There's a whole amount of diversity in terms of programs. As I didn't mention this before, but most of these programs are completely independent of their areas, the academic fields. Some of them are limited to a certain areas, maybe arts, and these ones are of most relevance for people who are at a career stage like mine, maybe most of you who are already established or are postdocs later in their life, and you don't have the time to go for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but you just want to go for a quick visit of 1 to 3 months, work on a project, finish a paper, write up a grant. So these can be done. These are relatively easy. I mean, if I'm allowed to use the word, in terms of what the DAD requests from you, is that you have a contact that is willing to host you in Germany, and you show that this is in any way meaningful to your career. Other than that, is relatively little what they request, and they only ask for a couple of reports. They want people to be moving around, so they put as little restrictions as possible, right? And they have these research stays and research grants that can be for various amount of time. And the thing is, once you get one of these scholarships, you enter, as in many programs, you enter their alumni network, right? And you have these programs for individuals, which are re-invitations or Wiedereinladungen, where you can go again. And then the requirements are even lower. If you've gone once, then you want to visit every year, every couple of years, you can keep going. And so it's like a membership that is open to you once you start working with them. And what people use this usually for, and they have extra support programs where they give you materials and equipment for your science, or they provide you extra money for buying and keeping your library stocked. So you can get an annual request. If you've been a that fellow, you can request money for buying extra books every year, which is, I think it's around $500, which is not a lot, but it's not little. So it's basically trying to get alliances of universities, tighter, and promote people who've worked with them and who have, have the honor to work with the DAD. There are also a bunch of international cooperation programs that I'm not, interested today in expanding, but just to show you that pretty much they fund a lot of initiatives that come from the universities that have partners in Germany. So if you are interested or you have partners in Germany, you can reach the DAD and they will guide you through the process of what the best type of cooperation would be, right? There's usually a DAD office available for most countries, and in South America, there's one for Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and Ecuador in Bogota. But I'm aware that there are other ones in North America as well. So aside of the DAD, I'm also compelled to tell you there are other ways and other resources if you are exploring Germany as either destination or a way or a country who will fund you and support you in your scientific endeavors. So there are a couple of websites where you can, if you have never had contact with Germany, you start with this and you can find places and people and topics that are interesting to you, right? It's relatively easy to navigate, and it can be used from people who are thinking about their bachelor's to people who are already somewhat established. So I encourage you to look into this. It's they put a lot of effort into making this easy to read and easy to navigate. Plus, there's this other thing, and aside of being a DAD ambassador, I host a Max Planck research group here, which, they've been pretty generous with me during my scientific life. And there are 4 research foundations like them in Germany, which is the Max Planck, Fraunhofer, Leibniz, and Helmholtz. They are all kind of focused in different areas. Max Planck is doing more basic sciences. Leibniz has a couple of marine um, institutes. Fraunhofer does mostly applied stuff, engineering kind of things. But what they do is that they're mostly already funded. So when you get there, you rarely have the problem with that you don't have enough funding, right? You can also, of course, get extra funding while you're there, but people working here usually have pretty large budgets. And if you are somebody they're interested in working with, then it's relatively easy to get going. So I encourage you to look into this as very interesting cooperation partners and scientific partners. There's also the Humboldt Foundation, which offers programs for people at various stages in their career, especially later in life. I think you can apply for Humboldt 10 years, up to 10 years after your PhD. And if you're later in life and you come from developing countries, you can also apply to the Georg Forster Fellowship. And of course, there's the DFG, the German Research Foundation, that this is directly from the government, and it has these 2 databases that I find very useful here. That is a database of funded projects that already have funding, and database of research institutes in Germany, in case you're looking for a partner. These are all intended for people who do not have any experience, but of course you might need somebody to help you navigate, and in that area there's always colleagues. But if you don't have anybody who is willing to help you, I help you, right? Here's my email. I'm here in Barranquilla. If there's a DAD website for Colombia and Peru and Venezuela and Ecuador. But if you're not coming from any of these countries, then just Google it with your country. They should have somebody. They're pretty responsive, and they're pretty interested in you getting funding via Germany. It's part of their goal. And with that, I thank you. I thank you for the invitation as well. And if anybody has a question or two, I think I can answer them right away. And if not, then I go. Thank you very much.
And our last presenter is Daniel Placht. And he is a program officer in the Science and Engineering Capacity Development theme of the U.S. National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. And he is the reason that we are all here today. He has done a ton of work putting everything together. So yes, thank him if you see him at some point. But for now, we'll be talking about opportunities with NASEM.
Now you're obligated to listen to me. Anyways, I have a very, very brief presentation. I like this presentation because it's open to all of you. It's to take the next steps, and it is a very low bar. So we have these LAC Connections Fellowships. That's working. And as you know, by now, what we're really trying to build are those international and interdisciplinary collaborations. You've listened to some wonderful presentations already. You've met some wonderful people. You'll continue to do so over the next couple of days. But you've had great discussions. You've exchanged ideas, handed out business cards. But then what comes next? How do you take that next step in the collaboration? And our answer to that is these fellowships. They are essentially small travel grants to get you into each other's institutions in the short term, meet the research teams, meet the institutions, and really take those next steps from the discussions you have here into actionable collaborations. So the details of the fellowship, will provide up to $1,500 for living expenses for up to a month. Separately from that, we'll cover your airfare, so that's not something you need to worry about. We will ask that your institutions, of course, will support these exchanges. If you're the traveling researcher, we'll ask that your institution receive and disperse the funds in a timely manner. I do realize that there are many institutions with a lot of bureaucracy and red tape. So if that proves challenging, we have a couple of processes to address that. On the other end, if your institution is hosting, we just need to know that they are supportive of the visiting researcher coming in, whether or not they provide some kind of in-kind support, like visiting scholar housing or access to the cafeteria or whatever. That's a bonus, but we just need to know that they are on board with it. We would ask you to support or submit a report after the trip, telling us what you did, what you plan on doing, what you're, what you accomplished in this fellowship, and we would ask that all these exchanges be completed by the end of November this year. Eligibility, who's eligible? You all are. Our requirements are really to build on the conversations you're having at this event. So we ask that the visitor and the host are attendees of this symposium. It doesn't matter if you're a speaker or a committee member or general participant. It's just as long as you're a participant. We also stress that international aspect. So we don't provide domestic travel support. So work with people in other countries. And again, that institutional support. The application process, we know who you are, we've reviewed you, we've met you. We try to keep this as simple as possible. We have a one-page, I see lots of people taking pictures. This will be made available to all of you. It has links, makes your life easier. But yeah, so application form, it's a one-page overview. Send us your CV, statement of interest. Ideally, we would fund all the applications we receive. Realistically, we do have budget limitations, so convince us why we should support this exchange. It is a small proposal. We're not asking for 30 pages here, 1 or 2 pages of what you hope to accomplish and why we should support you. Brief budget, nothing detailed. We just need to know that you've looked into the cost of living of the place you're going to be at and see how far $1,500 will take you. And then institutional letters of support, and we ask that you submit all of this to our program mailbox by the end of March. That gives you a month after this event to put together these documents, send them to us. Probably take us about 2 weeks to run the review process and then award them. So in theory, you could be traveling by the beginning of April. So we really want to capitalize on the conversations you're having here. These travel grants have been very, very successful in other programs. We found that, you have the conversations, but you have lots of conversations, and we want to make sure that you're able to take those next steps. I'm around. My director Dalal is here. Ari is here. We can answer any questions you have. And that's, as I said, my very brief presentation. So. And now I'm just going to keep going. So there have been some questions about the Flash Talks, and we did email you, but I know emails. So essentially what we like to do, and we have found this to be extremely engaging and successful for our poster sessions, is we give everyone who's presenting a poster today, your names are up there, they're also in the book, the opportunity to come on stage and just give a 1-minute elevator pitch. You come up here, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, come see my poster at poster number, whatever. This gives you the opportunity to really showcase your work to everyone at once, and for people in the audience to say, hey, I like that, I want to know more, I will go to that poster. So it really streamlines the process. What we will do is, if you are presenting today, to ask you to line up over here, and we will quickly do one after the other. Everyone has 1 minute. Our colleague down there has a tablet with a timer that will beep at you, and this is going to be fun. You're all good? Sorry, slowing up the process. All right. I'm just going to give her a minute or two. What's up? All right, let's do it. What's up? You're number one. I told her to turn up the volume. There you go. Poster number one. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Hussam Mahmoud. I'm a faculty at Colorado State University. My group is the SOPHI Research Group, which is Socio-Physical and Hazard Integrated Environment Research Group at Colorado State University. We essentially work on understanding how the built environment responds to extreme event, and it could be anything, and then how the community as a whole recovers. So what I'm doing today in my poster is showing you how we're doing that using socio-physical models. Essentially, we're not talking about the recovery of buildings as a physical system. We're talking about the recovery of, in this example, the healthcare system. System here is socio-physical system. So we care about the people that work at the hospitals, staff, doctors. We care about the patients, which patient is going to go to which hospital. We care about policies between hospitals. We care about infrastructure, backup system, water system, power, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested, come to my poster number one. Thank you.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Eva Costa from Córdoba, Argentina, and my research lab investigate about how to better fight against infection. I'm an immunologist. However, in the poster today, I will show the contributions of my academic institution to the fight against COVID-19. So we work early during the pandemics trying to help with diagnosis in a condition in which we don't have many resources, and also to define policies, and afterwards we work in the immunology behind the infection, trying to understand why there were more severe cases, and also in vaccines due to the scarcity due rollout. And I will be also happy to discuss how from research and academic institution we can engage with the needs of the people. So I'm very interested also in this part of closing the gaps. So I will be in the poster number 2. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniela Alemani. I'm a marine biologist in Argentina. I study marine fronts and its relationship with fish diversity and density. The Southwest Atlantic Ocean is a recognized fishing ground, both for its diversity and high abundance of its marine resources of high economic value. And in that sense, the productivity of the region is largely due to marine fronts. In that sense, the Patagonian shelf break fronts extend for more than 1,500 kilometers and influences the diversity, density, and distribution of fish and squids. And this area, these marine fronts, has an ecological, fishing, and a geopolitical relevance as it extends beyond the Argentine economic exclusive zone. And the marine resources inhabiting there are slatherine species. So my interest is to define its role in the distribution of marine resources and fishing effort in order to contribute or to inform or generate information about the integrated and sustainable management of this highly productive area and the ecosystem services provided. Thank you very much. My poster number is number 3. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Costa Rica. My project focuses on the production and purification of peptides from trichoderma, which are known for their antimicrobial properties. For create a biofungicide, these peptides has demonstrated strong inhibitions against phytopathogens, reviving commercial fungicides. In fact, in tests on tomatoes, we have observed inhibition, 100% inhibition, contrasting with the 90% in untreated tomato. Also, under electron microscopy, we have observed significant damage to the fungal spore and also to the mycelia treated with the peptides. And what's more, our prototype has demonstrated safety to use in humans. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emmanuel from Costa Rica. Actually, I come from the same institution where Pamela is working. And my premise of value of our work is that we can combine biodiversity, bioeconomy, elements to bring together, and also traditional knowledge to bring solutions for agriculture in order to reduce the amount of fertilizers, in order to use the amount of pesticides. Our work is committed to use wastes from the agro industry and also combining with inorganic fertilizers to make them more and more efficient in a infrastructure that farmers can use informed, so they will make more. They will bring more benefits to farmers. Thank you. Poster number 5.
Hello, everyone. I am Lazy from Federal University of Minas Gerais, Brazil. I am mathematics and I work with urban freight transport or freight transportation. And today we talk about the urban sprawl, but it's about the logistics sprawl. We have proven in the past that in Belo Horizonte case, you have a very small logistics sprawl rate, and you would like to explore why. And in that case, we explore the price of the logistics, the warehouse selling prices, and we identify some urban factors that influence this price. And my poster is number 6, and I invite you to talk about the further collaboration or not. Thank you.
The 2001 Critical Infrastructure Protection Act provides a framework for the understanding and recovery of different networks, systems and networks in the United States, right? So imagine you have the power distribution, the transportation network, and then the communications network. So what we did was to model each of those using network flow models, and then we connect them using differential equations. Very simple. So we use that in the case study of Puerto Rico to try to find out how these small problems can cascade and generate big issues in critical infrastructure. I have used that in humanitarian logistics, in transportation network resilience, and also in the context of human trafficking, where traffickers use the transportation network, the communications network, and also the internet and other supporting systems. So if you're interested in humanitarian logistics, human trafficking, or any of that, better call Felipe.
Hi there. I'm Andres Arrieta from Purdue University. I'm a mechanical engineer, and my team investigates systems that change shape. So in my poster number 8, I'm going to present you a case of a dual mode locomotion drone that can fly or swim. In particular, we're developing this type of system to be able to fly
to a remote location and then submerged to take some data. And we think that this could be potentially used for helping get more granular data from the oceans and help us understand, better understand the health and the dynamics of how these important ecosystems are changing. So if you're interested in things that can change shape for optimality or for multifunctionality, please come to poster 8, and I'll be very happy to talk about it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miguel Aybar. I'm from Dominican Republic. I'm presenting the project of microgrid control for low voltage. In this poster, we can get some grant and partnership because we need to improve the weak grid in Dominican Republic. We have a lot of problems, and we need to integrate these microgrids in this grid. For any information, you can see the poster number 9 and questioning anything of this project. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Davi. I'm from Federal University of Minas Gerais, like my colleague. And One Health is a hot topic, and in medical and biological and public health sciences. And I'll talk about how the not new concept, but how we need to integrate different areas like human health, animal health, and plants and the environment to promote more collaborative form to work it to solve the problems that we face in the society. So come to talk with me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Cesar Barraza Botet. I'm a professor at the School of Engineering of the Universidad de La Sabana, but I'm also doing right now a research stay in Bonn, Germany on science diplomacy and just energy transition. So if you are wondering why I took such a long trip to come here, I think I can show you during my poster presentation. Basically, what we did here is to build a model, energy system model, to advise the government on how to develop policies for the deployment of green hydrogen in Colombia. So one of the main motivations for me to come here and present this is, if you are interested in replicating this model and even to amplify it to cover Latin America and looking into ways the continent can be integrated in energy and even using hydrogen for a just energy transition, please come to poster number 11 and I will tell you all about it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary, University of Florida, where I lead an interdisciplinary research team looking at ways to expand our beneficial reuse of wastewater, or in other words, recycling treated wastewater. So recycled wastewater is a wonderful resilience tool against water scarcity problems because of climate change or other global change. But it also comes with some constituents of concern. It is a former wastewater product, so it may have pathogens. It has nutrients that can be good for some applications, such as agriculture, but could be harmful in water, in surface water bodies, in terms of providing excess nutrients. It also has salts and maybe some heavy metals and other things. So my work focuses on trying to overcome some of those barriers so that we can increase the beneficial reuse of that product. And that's what I'll be talking about a little bit today in my poster, number 12. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Martin Bledler. I belong to the National Scientific and Technical Research Council in Argentina. And my research focuses on plastic pollution. I work with macroplastic, meso, and microplastics in a lot of different kinds of environment and compartment. And as probably you know, most of the research or the current research in plastic is focused on the global north, microplastics, the smaller ones, and in the marine environment. That is the reason because I focus my research in Latin America, in the south, in global south, and also in macroplastics and in freshwater environment. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luz Breton, and I am from the Biotechnology Institute, UTNAM. And my keywords are metagenomics, microorganisms, pollution, environment, and my poster is about understand the pathogens, virus, and antibiotic-resistant genes that we can find in different discharges that go through the river. And this work is the base of a bigger project. So if you want to know more about pathogens, come to see me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. My expertise is in computational chemistry. In this opportunity, I show the result about some chemical reaction mainly in the greenhouse gases, because the acidification of the ocean is mainly by the carbon dioxide, but the other green gases impact in the atmosphere also in the ocean. Thank you.
Hello. Well, in a pandemic or an epidemic, there's not always enough resources to treat everyone. So you have to prioritize certain parts of the cases and not others. We're trying to prioritize those parts of the epidemic that are currently growing actively, instead of those parts that are not doing it. The way we do it is that we try to find using the genetic sequences of thousands of patients of the virus, we find sequences that are very close together. And those that have more relatives, near relatives, we consider them as actively growing parts of the epidemic, and we prioritize them for receiving treatment. This is a very new science. We call it molecular epidemiology, and we are developing these tools and trying to see how well they work and how to improve them. So thank you very much. I'm Rocío Carrasco from the National Institute of Respiratory Diseases in Mexico.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramon from the beautiful Dominican Republic, and today I'm presenting this. I'm actually an energy resilience researcher, but today I'm going to talk to you about the possibility of open source software. If you look at the energy transition, it comes with enormous challenges, right? But the true fact is not every energy utility has not only the skills, but the money to invest in this type of modeling and simulation. And what my team did was to take this approach for an open source platform that takes data from a geographic information system, so a map. This plugin will extract this information from a geographic map and directly translate it to a scripting tool, which is from a map to power simulation. And basically, this lowers the entry barrier for anyone that can conduct this type of studies. And I'll be poster 18. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Philip Detlef from Universidad Católica de Chile. In my lab, we work with environmental stressors in animals, especially in marine animals. In my poster, we evaluate environmental stressor, particularly thermal stress associated with heat waves, and also microplastics. So we evaluate in 2 fish species of commercial relevance in Chile, and determine the effect at transcriptional level and the pollution level in this species. So if you are interested in these topics, you can see in my poster. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm the leader of the Biodival Lab, which stands for Laboratory of Biodiversity in the Anthropocene. And I'm also the chair of the Cunhacha Network of Women in Science and the chair of the Brazilian chapter of the OWSD. So I am presenting a little bit of my work, putting together science, activism, and traditional knowledge to cope with climate change and other human impacts on biodiversity and human systems. Thank you. Posters 20.
Buenas tardes. My name is Luisa Dueñas. I come from the National University in Bogota, Colombia, and I'm a marine biologist. So I work with deep sea research, and as you may know, deep sea research is extremely expensive. And that's why we have created a huge partnership between different stakeholders so that we can do deep sea research in both of our oceans, in the Caribbean and in the Pacific. So please, if you have more questions regarding deep sea research in Colombia and what we have done and accomplished this last decade, so please come to poster 21.
Well, I don't know. Hi, everyone. Okay, I'll try to speak loud. My name is Guadalupe Franco from Mendoza, Argentina. I also work in CONICET as Martin, and I'm a forest engineer working in forest ecology, particularly. Okay, hi. Is this? Hola. Yep. Okay. So I'm a forest engineer working in forest ecology, and I particularly work with fire as a disturbance. And now I'm bringing to you part of my postdoc research, which is about pine afforestations in Patagonia. If you can imagine a flammable landscape with native forests, marvelous lakes and shrublands, and also you can then put in some tourists and some native communities and some towns growing, then you can have a picture of how's the landscape I'm working in. And now, okay, and we are trying to see which drives fire probability in these landscapes to help management decisions of foresters. So, poster 22.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rolando Gittens. I'm a coordinator and research engineer in INDICASAT in Panama. And I specialize in nanotechnology and biomaterials, and specifically on how cells from our body interact with these materials. For example, in the case of treatments for tissue regeneration or in the case of microplastics. But in my poster 23, if you come, I'll tell you a little bit about my journey during the pandemic when we had to turn our labs into manufacturing facilities for some of the supplies and medical devices that were in need in Panama, and how I've had to evolve into becoming an entrepreneur now that I'm trying to systematize this knowledge of how we can do entrepreneurship from science, from laboratories, as an important link to try to increase visibility of why it's important to invest in science in our countries. So come to poster 23. Thank you.
So can you please raise your hand if you feel that your community is not fully prepared against a disaster? Okay, good. So in my research, we are working on how to motivate and use the logistic capabilities and resources of the private sector in the case of a disaster. So the problem that we are studying here is how to design contracts and economic incentives for them to participate, get involved, and save lives. So we do mathematical modeling, and we do some data science for that. And well, my name is William Guerrero. I work for the School of Engineering at Universidad de La Sabana here in Colombia. And please join me and make this project larger, and so our communities are better prepared against natural disasters. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mohammed bin Hassan from the Oceanographic Institute of the University of São Paulo. I work with deep sea ferromanganese crusts. They are the rocks that grow on the ocean floor by the direct precipitation of colloidal components and dissolved metals. And these are the rocks which host a lot of critical metals and rare earth elements. For example, lithium and tellurium, nickel, cobalt, etc. I study how do these rocks grow in deep sea environments, what are their ages, what is their geological history, how can we mine them in the future, and what could be the environmental impacts if we start deep sea mining in the near future. So this is what I would be showing in my poster 25. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Juan Carlos Jaimes, originally from Colombia, but since 2022 living in Lima, Peru. I run my own company called Innovator, which I founded in the pandemics. And we have been running and looking for funding, and I am glad to say that this is a research funded by the Colombian Minister of Sciences. We work along with the University of Cauca, and we help, not only help, we supported and learn a lot with women coffee growers. This was our double way applied research, learning from them how they manage their crops in their face of extreme events, climate change impacts, and we help them with tools, right? Like using drones, water sensors, soil sensors, and so on to help them better monitor the natural resources and at the same time make smarter decisions, because they are facing a lot of losses in the crop production, the quality of the coffee. And I hope that you join and go to my poster and talk a little bit more about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. I really want to go to the session poster, but before we're going to stop at Dunor Plaza, we're going to grab snack, and later after that, we're going to the poster session. Also, they are asking me to remind everyone about the passport picture because we need that information for the Colombian.
Explora más contenidos de tu interés. No olvides suscribirte a nuestro canal.